Hi there, Jamie Farmer, field agronomist with Pioneer here in west central Missouri. Today we're in a field here in central Missouri looking at some corn, evaluating fungicide decision for 2019. So there's a few points I wanted to go through for you all out there trying to weigh this decision on what fungicide will look like for your operation this year. First thing I think is you need to think about the year effect. So 2019 could be a year that would favor disease. We definitely had plenty of moisture this year with some of the cooler temps we've had, at least when we started July there and the end of June, would definitely favor disease development on things like northern corn leaf blight, gray leaf spot, some of our normal, more debilitating diseases that we deal with here in Missouri. And then I also think you need to think in a little bit of this fall and the market situation possibly rewarding us more than we have the last couple of years as far as our market price for the bushels that we create out here in our corn. I think the next thing we want to think about is some of the diseases that we're seeing out here in central Missouri. So northern corn leaf blight would be one of the more aggressive and debilitating diseases that we're seeing. So it favors development in those wet environments, high humidity, a lot of dew overnight, some of those cooler temps where our highs were just getting there in the mid 80s. You think about the weather forecast and the way it looks as we move July 13th and on, with temperatures moving back up into the mid 90s and getting close to 100 degrees. That should slow that disease a little bit, but as we look ahead, definitely have the inoculum and the pressure here in Missouri to be able to see this disease start to bounce back if those temperatures cool back off. So look for that disease to be one that's rapidly developing when the environment is favorable. Develops new lesions in about 6 days, so one I would definitely keep an eye on. The next one would be southern rust. So Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, already finding some southern rust down there. It's a disease in Missouri that won't overwinter here, and so it has to blow in from the south. So we look to those states and we look for those Gulf storms to possibly bring that disease up here. You know, we think in years past there's been hurricanes and tropical storms that have blown up from the Gulf of Mexico and can bring that disease in here and rob a significant amount of yield for us, particularly on late planted fields. You know, we've seen areas where we've seen 60 or 70 bushel yield reductions due to the debilitating nature of southern rust. So that's another one that we want to keep our eye on and keep a lookout for any of those storms that might possibly bring that disease up here to this corn, particularly with all the late planted corn that we have here in 2019. The next thing I think you need to think about is residue. So obviously in 2019 we've had a significant amount of plan B, plan C, plan D type things when it comes to planting this corn crop. There's a lot of folks out there that maybe have a little bit more no-till on their hands than they typically do, or some folks that have increased their corn on corn or done some corn on corn here recently that they haven't done in the past. That higher residue in those no-till and that corn on corn situations obviously increase the amount of disease inoculum that's present in that field. And so those are fields that we're going to want to look for disease development and make sure that we're proactive with a fungicide. Pioneer has a significant amount of fungicide data where we've done testing from 2007 to 2016 with several of the fungicides on the market. We found an 8.3 bushel per acre advantage when a fungicide was used. Typically that application being made between VT and brown silk. So with that scenario, the return there and the potential higher market price that we could potentially see this fall, obviously it would take less bushels to get an ROI on that. You factor in the fact that 2019 has been a significantly wet year, and if that trend continues and we stay cooler as we move farther through grain fill, there would definitely be some bigger ROI potential this year with a fungicide use. That brings me to my next point would be what type of fungicide. I would recommend a fungicide with two modes of action, so a preventative and a curative, particularly with the wide planting window that we have and the significant ability of these diseases to continue to affect us throughout the summer and late into grain fill. Utilizing a fungicide that has two modes of action like ours that Corteva has with Approach Prima definitely lends better ROI when you're trying to deal with disease that's already present, and then also a residual that's going to help you protect for some of that disease that's coming. And then the last thing, just a quick reminder again on that late planted corn. So there's a significant amount of acres here in Missouri where we have corn that's planted much later than we typically do. And so you need to think about the fact that a lot of that corn is going to be going through grain fill later in the summer as we approach into the early days of fall. And you think about the environment that we typically see at the end of summer, early fall, where we start to get lower temperatures overnight, we get higher humidity, and so obviously good environment for disease development to really tear that late planted corn down in a hurry and provide essentially good ROI for us to use a fungicide out there and to time it correctly to make sure that we can get the most yield protected out there as possible. So again, Jamie Farmer, field agronomist, Pioneer here in Central Missouri, just talking to you about fungicide decision. We thank you for your time. We thank you for your business. We look forward to speaking with you again.
That concludes this Pioneer Growing Point Agronomy video podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook for more agronomy insights.